For a data set of brain volumes in cubic centimeters and IQ scores of 5 males, the linear correlation coefficient is R, which is equal to 0.938. We're going to use the table available below to find the critical values of R. And then based on a comparison of the linear correlation coefficient R and the critical values, what do you conclude about a linear correlation? Well, first we need to figure out what is the sample size. Well, if you look here, it says 5 males. That means we need to use the number 5. So we're going to click on the icon for the table of the critical values. And if you look here, here's 5, which is the number of pairs of data. And therefore, our critical value is 0.878. So that means there's going to be two critical values. One of them is going to be negative 0.878, and the other one is positive 0.878. Okay, now we need to figure out whether there's a correlation or not. So we're going to write down this information. So I'm going to go ahead and copy our critical values. Well, let me go ahead and redo that again. So I'm going to copy my critical values. And then I'm also going to copy what R stands for. Okay, so now that I have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in this chart, right? So not necessarily this chart, but this graph, because this graph's going to tell me whether there's a correlation or not. So what I want to do right now is I want to write in my critical values. So my critical values are negative 0.878. And then over to the right, our critical value is 0.878. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're looking at the value of R. And what does R tell us? Well, R is 0.938. So where does that fall? Well, that falls somewhere over here to the right of that critical value, which is 0.938. And therefore, if you notice, where does it fall? It falls within this correlation. So that means that there is a linear correlation because of the value that this number is in that place. So how do we answer this question? Well, if you notice, the value of R was in the right tail. So we're going to say since the correlation coefficient R is in the right tail above the positive critical value, we would say that there is sufficient evidence to support the claim of a linear correlation.